Hey, what's happening, everyone? Welcome to Generator Live. It's 7 o'clock here on the East Coast. And tonight, instead of having an interview where I usually bring on a guest and we're talking all things creativity, right? Talking about their business, maybe talking about some of the challenges that they have, so on and so forth. I thought tonight I'd do something a little bit different, right? We're getting to the end of the year and guests are getting a little bit harder, right? I keep bumping into scheduling issues. So I've been doing a lot of planning here at the end of the year. Now, what that means to me in terms of my planning is it's a time for me to just revamp absolutely everything that I'm doing, revamping my emails and my workflows and my processes and the podcast and cover art and absolutely everything in regards to my business, what I do here, what I do online, what I do with my clients, so on and so forth. I'm going to shut a couple of things down, make sure no one's annoying me. Cool. So, what I wanted to do tonight, rather than having a guest on, is give you guys a little bit of insight to a handful of things that I'm doing here at the end of the year. And then I want to introduce you to the book that I'm writing and some of the edits that I'm going to put in here. So, why don't we dive into it? Now, if you've been watching what I've been trying to do with the new format for 2026, this is going to be yet another dry run of that process. Now, I'm going to try to get into the first segment, which is going to be maintenance. Now, in the maintenance segment, what I do is I talk about some of the things that I've gone on this week, the stuff that just kind of keeps things flowing throughout the week, and how I'm going about changing it. Maybe some part of the project's ending, whatnot. This week, it's been all about really trying to get my overall to-do list done. I've got licensing that I need to write for people. I've got an image that I'm licensing for a book contract. So I'm out there and I'm writing that license. I've got some emails that I need to write. I'm setting up the podcast network, getting that going, inviting people into that. So for me, this time of year is always about priority and putting things in the right priority. Clients always come first, right? So, client jobs that I have coming up, I've got a job on Friday and then Monday and Tuesday, and all of the backlog catalog that I have. That is what's happening with me in terms of my client work. Now, when it comes to all the other stuff, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, I was talking about all these different revenue streams that I have going. Not that they're all productive, but in insofar as I'm doing the photography and I'm doing podcasting and I'm doing consulting and coaching. And then I've got the book and I've got digital goods and so on and so forth. I think for me, every one of those things is not as optimal as I'd like them to be. What I'd like to have happen is going into 2026, have everything just firing on all cylinders. For for me, what that looks like is, for example, my website. Let's take my website. Right now, it's fine for Stone Tree Creative, right? The stonetreecreative.com site is perfectly fine. It's got my information on there. It doesn't sound 100% the way that I want it, but the imagery is good and there are ways to contact me. So, for what a website is supposed to do in the photography industry, it works. Now, what I'd like to do is update it. I haven't updated it in a couple of months. So, a couple of months, couple of years. So, what I'd like to do is change the dynamic of it quite a bit. I don't have the money to hire a professional web developer. And So I draw on my years of doing websites and all my tech knowledge, and I try to do it myself with the help of a little bit of coding in Claude or in ChatGPT, pick your poison. Do a little bit of analysis of the site, what's working, what's not. How does my spacing look? How does the imagery look? Are the color palettes working? Font size, so on and so forth. I'm constantly testing the website in AI to figure out, is this is this working? Do I like the way that it looks? So I'll build something out in a sandbox, and then I'll test it a little bit. I'll throw it into AI. Don't like it, tweak it. Maybe there's something I can't figure out, and I'll develop the code for it and then fix the website. Shutting a couple other things down here. But that can be a time suck. It can be a real waste of time. So here at the end of the year, while it's great be able to go into 2026 with a brand new, fresh, cool website, it's not important, right? Let me see if I can bring up the website now, and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. And this may or may not work. We may go off the rails here. Let's see. How's this one going to work? There we go. Okay. So let me move me over a little bit. Um, we'll move this over here like this. Okay, cool. So if you are looking at my website, right? It looks fine. You want ordinary, hire someone else. If you want to be unforgettable, you're home. I love that. But for a website, it looks fine. The problem is, I've been building it for so long, over so many years, it's tired. And things aren't looking the way that I really want them to look. I like the way the gallery looks, I like seeing the testimonials, but it's just not updated. So, what I want to do is go through and slim down my photography services, right? So I've got all these different portrait experiences and the commercial work and the business and property, my philosophy, the photography stuff, mentoring and education, the podcast, renting the studio, all of these different pieces need an overhaul, predominantly in the copy and in the color. Does any of this matter when it comes to the bottom line? Yes and no. Yes, because SEO is a thing, right? And we need to be able to get noticed in search results. So if you have good SEO, I happen to have really good SEO for this site, you are playing the odds and more likely to get inquiries if people like your style. But the thing is, if they're putting in main photographer, I should show up on page one. If they're putting in main portrait photographer, I should show up on page one, if not number one. So I've been working on SEO based on a lot of the copy and a lot of the design of this site. Now, the interesting part is that that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day if for SEO, if there's no good contact, if you're constantly changing things, if it doesn't match what the vibe of your company really is. So for me, everything's about connection, right? I create elevated experiences for people. What I don't do is basic retail photography with your families and your babies and your weddings and your elopements. I don't do any of that stuff. I do adult contemporary portraits. I'm doing the stuff that you come to for legacy or you come to for work and you want to elevate your own image or you want to see yourself for the first time, maybe ever, in a way that you feel really good. That's what I want the website to reflect. Some of the messaging here works, not all of it works. So I'm overhauling everything. What that means is I take it all apart. I have this pretty cool program, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's just a Chrome extension, and what it allows, I think it's called Go Full Page. And what it allows you to do is look at your entire web page in one visual format. You can download this as a PDF or a PNG or a JPEG or whatever. But for me, this allows me to see what the structure of the whole page looks like. And then I'll do this for every page in the website. I'll take all of those, I'll put them in Photoshop, and I'll line them up all side by side so that I can see for the majority of the services that I provide, whether it's um, regular portraits or legacy portraits or personal branding or headshots or my unfiltered stuff, whatever it is, it gives me a chance to see the pages side by side. Am I giving the right information? Is it visually interesting? Is the headline and the main messaging that I want to get across on that page clean, easy to read, following accessibility rules for Google? Is it doing all of those things? If so, awesome. Right now, I'm changing color. I'm switching from a darker theme to a lighter theme, just what I want to do. I'm making it more minimal. Can you say that? Can you say more minimal? Minimaler? More minimal so that there is less reading, more looking, more invitation to just get in touch with me. I also want to build in some of the intelligence and some of the products that I've been creating, digital goods, downloads, books, all that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm working on. Is it super important? No, it's not really super important, but it's one of the things that I like to do because quite frankly, that website is the first face of your business. um, I'm just going to check the chat here a little bit. What up, Sasso, Andro, Mossy? What's happening, guy? So, thanks for joining. So, when it comes to the website, right, what we're trying to do is bring folks in. So, if you haven't updated things, if you haven't played with it, then maybe it's worth a review. Go back. You don't have to change everything today. You don't have to code everything today. Just take a look at it and start comparing pages side by side. Does it look the way you want to? But more importantly, does it sound the way that you want to sound to your clients? So that's one thing I'm cleaning up. I try to do a page a day, or I play with some code and try to get some elements to work in. I use WordPress and Elementor and a bunch of different plugins. So I just try to get the code to play nice together. Do that. That's one thing that I'm working on here at the end of the year. Second thing, if you've heard me before, I'm a 17 Hats ambassador. It's what I use as my customer relationship management software. It automates 90% of what I do in terms of client relationships. So, all my emails, all my inquiries, quotes, contracts, invoices, all of that contained in one package. And what I've noticed is that because I've had so many clients over so many years, my emails have become kind of stale. And I want to go back and rewrite things, update them, include some better verbiage, maybe make it a little less formal than they sounded before when I was originally setting it up and I wanted everything to be super professional. This time I'm just kind of people have gotten to know me, know the personality, so I'm just sending kind of the unfiltered informal stuff and I love doing that. The emails themselves, the quotes, the contracts, then lead me into saying, all right, well, what products and services do I want to offer? What prices am I going to be offering those at? Because I've got this list of menu and over, after 10, 15, almost 15 years of doing photography full time, there's a lot there that you need to revisit, especially when it comes to pricing. With prices of everything going up, are the prices that I'm charging my clients enough to support my business through 2026? So I've had the chance to go back and look at everything and revamp all of my pricing for all of my products, right? Personal branding, headshots, legacy portraits, fine art, boudoir, intimate stuff, videography, podcast coaching, all of that has gotten an overhaul. And it's just a matter of saying, all right, well, if the website isn't going to be done, can I take this and implement it on the old site so that it's out there? All of that is coming January 1st. Fingers crossed. So um, that's one more thing that I'm cleaning up. And then, as always, there is stuff to do around finances and taxes and, um, you know, receipts, following up on invoices that haven't been paid. That's predominantly in the commercial world. All your net 30, net 60 invoices that have been sitting out there. Companies want to close their books by the end of the year. So I'm following up with everybody and just making sure that their invoices are getting paid and that I get paid because, it's winter in Maine, so I need oil. All right. All that being said, that's been the maintenance that I've been doing. And there's been a lot on the list. I was over at the other studio tonight, and I was setting up the podcast area over at the main studio. So as I start to build out the podcast empire, I want to be able to rent the studio, have other people come in. I want to be able to bring my guests to a location that's much more comfortable, larger than inviting them here into my home and sitting in a cramped little room. I'd rather use the entire space that I have in my studio and have people come in and join me there. So that's been a lot of the kind of little minutia task list stuff that I've been getting through this week. So if that's happening, now let's go into the second phase, shall we? The blueprint. Now, the blueprint here this week is going to be how I'm planning on distributing the book that I've written, Speak Less, Get More, and how I want to be able to start sharing this in a way that is kind of like a regular book launch, but it may have the elements of social media in it. I want to be able to make some shorts out of it. So, for example, Speak Less, Get More, how to host conversations that matter. And there's the way that I wrote the book is it's modular. There's about 10 chapters in it. It's, I don't know, 100 and some odd pages, a little over 100 pages. And it's all about how you interview someone on a podcast in a way that is more engaging, retains your listeners longer, takes the focus off you as the host and puts it on the guest where it should be. And it helps draw out more authentic, real conversations rather than just the call and response that you hear in a lot of podcasts. People asking the same questions because they're not doing any level of research or they're not really interested in anything other than getting that bag and getting views and putting up a whole bunch of vanity numbers. That's not why I'm in this space here. I'm in this space here because I want to be able to put out content that other creatives, right? Photographers, writers, sculptors, artists, that I want them to be able to talk about creativity in the ways that we're talking about it behind closed doors, but not in public. I think once you're able to bring those conversations out to the forefront, you start to change the way the industry talks. You start to change the way people perceive artists. We have to elevate ourselves first and elevate our conversations first before we can expect anybody else to do it for us. You know, I see all these memes that people put out about how their clients don't respect them or people are asking for free work or there's a race to the bottom. Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at the world like that, that's fine. But knock on wood, I've never had a nightmare client. I've never had any of these stories that people talk about because I don't let that happen from the beginning. So I see all these people that have, you know, I was talking about this with some friends earlier today about victim mindset. And I don't get any clients that come in with too much of a victim mindset because they want to be there. But when I'm watching podcasts, I see a lot of people that want a podcast that are very talented. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to sit in silence. They don't know how to be comfortable with themselves. They don't know how to lead a conversation. Therefore, they think podcasting is just equipment, right? Equipment. And then you turn the mic on and then you go, right? And that's all there is to it. There's a lot more that goes into it. Now, the gear is one thing. Gear is great. Gear makes the world go round. I can do all sorts of stuff with my gear, right? Let's make the background purple. I can do that by pressing a button. I can change it back to blue by pressing a button. Gear is awesome, but gear is stupid too. There's no reason to spend all thousands and thousands of dollars if you're just trying to do this fun and have good conversations. You need a camera, you need a mic, and you need an audience. And pretty much in the opposite order. You need a mic, you need a camera, and then you need an audience. So what I'm trying to do is less focused on the gear and the tech, because that's going to do nothing but introduce reasons why not to do this. So for me, being able to create a plan and draw from all of my experience of doing this 20 some odd years and put it into a book so that people can interview better. They can spend less time in their head thinking about the fact that they're recording a podcast and spend more time engaged with their guest, asking questions and drawing out the stories that other people really want to hear. How many times have you listened to a podcast and we're like, what the hell are they getting to? You might be actually saying that right now. What the hell are they getting to? But oh, hey, Ben. Ben joined. What's up, Ben? Glad to see you here. So, what I'm saying is the most interesting interviews that I've ever held or that I've watched somebody else do are not the ones where it's just all hot takes. They're not the interviews where it's all about the host and the host is beautiful or the host is stunningly handsome and they're, just all about them. It's all the charisma about them. And the guest is just kind of hanging out in the studio and eventually answers a question. Uh, what does that get you at the end? It doesn't really get you a whole lot. The ones that I love are where the interviewer just sits back and lets things happen. You want to watch a great person doing this? Sean Evans on Hot Ones, right? On YouTube. He's given people volcano level hot wings and asking them questions. But he's not just saying, hey, what about that movie that you're in? Or what did you think when you acted with De Niro? None of that. He goes deep with his research because he wants to spend the time getting to know his guest and making sure that what he's given his viewers is a level above the other YouTube interview shows out there. I love that. I love that, the balls that it takes to do all that. So I wrote this book. Again, I keep showing you speak less, get more. I wrote the book because it's the first line. Good interviewing is a quiet superpower. And to me, it really is. Let me put on my old man glasses and read the first chapter or two. Not even the first chapter, first paragraph or two. So good interviewing is a quiet superpower. Now, when I lean into a conversation with genuine curiosity and I keep my own voice in check, something remarkable happens. My guest relaxes, the story deepens, and listeners feel like they're eavesdropping on a truth that they rarely hear. That experience is why this book exists. Throughout this book, we'll keep looking at why speaking less and listening more is the fastest way to a richer dialogue, stronger audience loyalty, and a reputation for hosting conversations that matter. And if you've listened to me before, this is all I want to do. I just want to have conversations that matter. Most shows never reach that level. Hosts rush to prove they're experts, pepper guests with pre written questions, and fill every pause with commentary. The result is predictable surface level answers, a tired guest, and listeners who drift away. Believe me, this was me, 100%. I would give the most boring interviews when I started because it was all about me just waiting for the next question. In a media landscape crowded with loud personalities, restraint has become a competitive edge. The craft of interviewing people begins well before you hit record. It starts with this, it starts with your mindset, shifting from performer to facilitator. Your job isn't to dominate, it's to create space where your guest's best ideas can surface. That means doing enough research to feel confident and then releasing control so the conversation can breathe. This is what I want to get into with this book. It's philosophy. It is how to set up an interview. Let me pick another random page here. Um, Running a flexibility audit after each interview so you can identify detours, assess value, spot missed pivots. A lot of this is theory based, experience based, but it's also very practical. This isn't just about ask these questions or do it this way and you'll be successful. What it's really about is self analysis, it's about improvement, it's about growth, and it's about making sure that you give a shit about the people across from you and that you're having interviews that get better over time. You don't want to start doing this and then just have horrible interpersonal skills. The book, as I've written it, the plan is to get this out hopefully before WPPI, which is in March. Get the book out in a form that is electronic, digital download, free chapter downloads, audio books, something to that degree. And so the blueprint, since that's the segment, is I have developed an entire calendar about things that I need to do every day to hit that. And I built it all with AI, but it's allowed me to feed in all of my tasks, this like 100 task list, and spit out based on 2 hour working increments, at least 3 to 4 times a day. So working, 6, 8, 10 hours a day on this. Be able to do all of these tasks to hit that target of WPPI. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'm going to give it my best shot. But there's a lot to do in a short period of time. So, why do I say that that is the blueprint? Well, because I believe in this space so much. And what I see are people that could be way better. And if I just sit back and I judge them for not doing a good interview, and I don't do something to help the community at large, then how am I any better? Because I get to sit back and be like, oh, I could do it better. No one likes that guy. Believe me, I was that guy too. I was the guy that was pointing and judging and not getting in the ring. But if you're going to get into this game, if you're going to live stream, you're going to YouTube, you're going to podcast, you're going to enter the fray where the barrier to entry is really low and the chance of success is pretty low, and that there's a lot of people in the field doing the thing that you're doing, the only way to stand out is to just be you. Be you. Be the real person that you are. The moment you start performing, all this goes downhill. So the book is really the plan that anyone that gives interviews, if you're a solo show host and you're incredibly charismatic, you can probably do an entire show yourself. You don't necessarily need that. But if you start bringing on guests, or even if you're talking to people, right, from my corporate career, a lot of these techniques come from the corporate world too, in terms of playing political games in the corporate world. The less you speak, sometimes the better. You let everybody else talk about what they want to talk about, and then you come up with your plan that impresses the boss or gets you a promotion or gets you a raise or whatever it is. So there's a lot of good stuff in the book. I want to be able to bring this out to the world because I want to be able to help people. If I make a couple of bucks, awesome. It's not the reason I did it. It's probably why I'm dragging my feet on it, to be honest, is that I I feel weird charging for it. That's my own money issue to get over, but I just think it's good information that everybody should have. So I'm wrestling with what I send out in, you know, for free or on audiobooks or, downloads, and what I charge for. So I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe I'll just do a webinar series. Maybe I'll do a webinar that I sell tickets to. Maybe I just sell digital downloads. Who knows? There's a million ways to do this. Just checking the chat. Lolo, what's happening? Doc Wildebeest, thanks for joining. Say hi. Uh, cool. I'm digging this live stream on TikTok. I haven't done this before, so I dig this, using a little studio and also streaming with Ecamm to YouTube. So I'm live everywhere. This is badass. I love this. All right. So that's the blueprint. Let's follow through to the next part. The grind, baby. This is what it is. This is what it's all about. the work that you have to do to get things done. Can't put it off. Can't put it off. What's the grind? So I'll tell you a story. Like I said at the beginning of this, it's been getting a little bit more difficult to get guests at this time of year. As much as people want to join, there's a bunch of shit going on. Everybody's got a Christmas party, or they're just wrapping presents, or everybody else is taking off. So it's a great time for us to take off. I love to do that this time of year. I usually take the last 2 or 3 weeks off of December. This year, I'm not doing that. So earlier today, I was in a little bit of a funk and I was doing my work, interacting with some clients, doing some planning, doing the website, doing a little bit on the book, doing a little bit of the emails, all the stuff we talked about earlier, all the maintenance. Well, I knew that Wednesday night at 7 is this live stream. I didn't have a guest. I didn't really have anything to talk about. Quite frankly, I just didn't want to do it. I did not want to get on here and stream live tonight. And then I realized that the only person that I'm letting down by not going live is myself. The audience, whether I go live or not, there's always something else to scroll to. I know people join me every week because they want to have this sort of interaction. I love talking to all you, right? I love when you join the chat and you say hi and I get to interact a little bit. And sure, there's a 10-second delay, but it is what it is. But I realized that I was this close to not being consistent. I was this close to just giving up after being consistent for like 3 weeks. It's kind of like dieting, right? You start off the first week is really good and you're exercising, you're eating well. And then the next week you're still eating well, but maybe you're not exercising as much. And then by the third week, it's all gone out the window. And you're just like, what's the use? I'll try again next year. Sound familiar? I think for me, with the going live and putting out a lot more content than I have in the past, has come down to just having the hard conversations with myself that if you want to succeed at this, if you want to succeed at any level in anything, not just this, you got to show up. You got to do the thing. And that's the grind. It's the showing up and doing it anyway. It's going to the gym when you don't want to do it. It's taking the dog for a walk when you don't want to do it. It's spending time with your partner when you don't want to do it. But it's the necessary part of life. So here I am. I did not have a plan before I went live. And if you were on from the beginning, you saw me typing furiously in the title screen because I was just trying to figure out what I was going to talk about tonight. And I'd love to, at some point when I'm doing these shows solo, cut it up so that I can repurpose a lot of this as additional shorts. Tonight's not one of those nights. I didn't have much of a plan. But I love being able to give you guys insight to what it is that I do and how I think about all of this. Because as I get this going, the tribe that I want, the audience that I want to bring in, are not people that are here just because I have numbers or for any reason other than the conversations resonate and they want to hang out in this living room. So that's why I want people to come in. I'd rather have a smaller, higher quality audience that all interacts and treats itself like a community rather than just have vanity numbers. So, in order to get any audience whatsoever, I've got to show up week in and week out, whether there's an audience or not. Because you know what it's doing? It's still building me a content library. So, while this may not be an audio episode that comes out tomorrow, what this will do is live on YouTube. It'll live on TikTok, and I can pull shorts from it as need be. I can pull thumbnails from it. I can use this in some way. So showing up and doing the thing and still not wanting to do it is still the work. That's still the grind. It's what you've got to do week in and week out. So that's the grind. I'm showing up and I'm doing it anyway. Now, last one, to the bench. So the bench is for all of those projects that you're still working on, you're still putting together, and they may not be polished, they may be covered in sawdust and pencil marks, but they're getting done. You're building, you're growing, right? So for me, the bench, the biggest bench project that I have going on right now is building out the main studio as a secondary podcast location. Hopefully, at some point, it'll be the primary podcast location. So I've got this whole place set up here, and it's great and it's awesome. I love it. But I want, like I said earlier, to be able to bring people in. So I was over the studio today and I'm setting up the area. I've got a couch and I've got a chair and I've got a couple of mics, the Shure MV7 Plus. I've got lights. I've got LED panels uplighting the background. I've got color RGB lights projecting on a wall. I don't have much in terms of like background interest stuff yet, but that's okay. That'll all come. That's kind of secondary. Right now, I'm working on camera angles, what cameras I'm using, the lighting, what do I want it to look like? Um, how do I want to set up my eCam scenes to be able to shift cameras because it'll be a multi-camera setup, shift cameras so that everything just works. And that is a lot to think about and a lot to do amidst everything else, especially when I have an already working studio here. I don't need a secondary studio, but like I said, I want to be able to get some guests in. So, as I think about what it is that needs to be improved on the bench, I don't love the way that the lighting is looking, and I certainly don't like the way that I've got everything set up. I would show you pictures here, but I didn't even take any tonight when I was at the studio and I was putting together the microphone and putting away cables and streamlining cables and power and moving some lights around, moving some props around. So tonight was just kind of like I haven't been in there for a day or two. I wanted to go in, shift it all around, give my brain a chance to kind of reacclimate to it. And when I go back into the studio tomorrow and then go back into the studio on Friday for a photo session, I want to see how it feels when I walk in. I gauge a lot of things by that. And I won't proceed with a project unless it feels good. So as I look at the studio, if I'm walking in there, I've got my lights set up and I think it might look good and I take a look at it and it just doesn't feel right. I trust that instinct because if I don't feel right in that space, that's why it took me forever to get this space set up. If I don't feel right in the space, it's going to come across in my energy. I'm not going to feel comfortable. I'm going to be fucking with this, that, or the other thing. I don't want to do that because it takes away from my connection with you. In here, I've got everything dialed in, got it on the stream deck, I've got the lights going, I've got the mic going. I don't have to touch this place anymore. But this took me, 2 years to put together to get it to the point where I'm finally like, oh, this is comfy. The main studio, I'm not there yet. The main studio, the only things that I'm really missing, but they're not essential. And I'm telling you they're not essential because they're not essential. Good teleprompter. I'm looking at the Elgato Prompter XL because it's just big. It would be able to help me see things. These old eyes are going, but I want something that I can sit a little bit further away from and still be able to read some scripts. I need a couple of different lights. Like this is an Amaran 200, and I've got different panels all over the place. But I'd love to get one or two more lights, more powerful lights, kind of like the Amaran 200s, so that I can have dedicated lights for each guest. And then I've got my bigger lights, my Nan lights, and my apertures that are big constant lights to light the entire scene, but it's just not looking the way that I want it to right now. So I want to mess with that. I want to be able to go in, flip a switch, have all the lights come on, and then all I have to do is sit down at the camera with my guest and just start talking. That's my dream. So I've been spending a lot of time. I had a sketch around here somewhere where I had sketched out the studio originally and what I wanted to do. and I haven't looked at that drawing in a while. I can't wait to see what the final product is based on what I recall of that picture, and then see how closely they resemble. How was my first instinct versus where it wound up? And is it what I like and what I don't like? So, um, to be seen there. But that's the big bench project this week, is working on the studio. I want that to be something where in 2026 I can do my live streams there, because it gives me more opportunity to then get up. If somebody wants to ask how I do, if somebody, oh, hey, Nina Bobina, what's happening? Ah, for those of you out here, Nina was my very, very, very first guest on Generator so many years ago. And I was watching that the other day. Nina, the quality difference is night and day. And quite frankly, the difference between you and I think, in 2 or 3 years is night and day. So I'm really happy to see you here. I love your growth. I think I love my growth, and it's cool to see you stop by, especially on TikTok. Thank you. Um, so yeah, so you know, that is my big project right now, setting up that studio. Is it going to work? Who knows? But if it does, awesome. I've got another great place that I can invite people to. Other people in the community can use the set for their podcast, and I can get some folks recording and provide that service to the community. If it doesn't work and I shut the studio down, I come back here and I still do this the way that I've been doing it now for a couple of years. So I'm not worried about it. It's just something that I think will work. Who knows? All right. Where are we at? It's 45. I've been talking for 45 minutes. Just let me take some water. Let me check the chat. Hold on one second. All right. Cool, 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 cool. Well, I was concerned tonight because I didn't think this was going to work. I'm streaming to YouTube. I look over here, and I mean, I'll show you the camera, right? So I look over here, and I've got my computer, and I got the Rodecaster right here. I've got my main monitor, and if I look at um, this kind of setup, I'm gonna move that back there. As I just kind of look at this, and my ADHD takes over. As I look at what I'm trying to do on TikTok, I'm trying to grow this audience a little bit. Yes, I love YouTube. I'm trying to stream to TikTok. I figured I would try to go live on both tonight. I didn't think Starlink, which is the only internet service I can get out here till today, it didn't have enough upload bandwidth for me to support multiple streams. So going out to YouTube and then going out to TikTok with high quality streams, I just don't have the upload bandwidth. So tomorrow, of all things, and I've got it sitting here ready to go. I've got my TP Link B793500,000 router. This is getting installed tomorrow. I'm installing because they finally got fiber internet here in Western Maine. I haven't had it. I I actually recorded the videos for the original campaign to get fiber to rural areas here in Maine. I worked with a community program, nonprofit, produced the videos a couple of years ago. It's taken that long for fiber internet to get out here. So the First Light is the company. They're coming tomorrow, installing fiber. I should have all the bandwidth I need going forward to not only bring this to you on YouTube, but YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and horizontally and vertically all at the same time. I'm going to be a streaming apocalypse, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. So that's the big thing that I have going on, is I'm getting fiber installed tomorrow, and then I'm going to be doing this. Now, when it comes to next week is Christmas. So I probably may try to do a live stream maybe Christmas Eve, maybe the Christmas Eve. I may jump on here. Just keep a lookout. I'll publicize it. But this will not be an audio episode for the main generator feed that you see on Apple and Spotify. I probably won't release another audio episode until after the new year. I'll be doing my next live with a guest on the 30th. And I'm Ben, if you're still listening, I'm holding you to this. I'm going to do one with Ben Markham. He's going to join me again. If you watched our episode several episodes ago, Ben came on, amazing guy. I can't wait to talk to him again. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. We'll do some year in review stuff. We'll play with the new format a little bit, but really it's just a chance to hang out and be live with another amazing creative. So that'll be on the 30th. And then as we get into the new year, I'll be doing a ton in terms of the podcast network, bringing a lot of new creatives back on, visiting some old guests and having them update me from when we originally interviewed. I'll be putting out some best of episodes, some shorts, some shorter segments. There's a lot coming down the road. If you're interested in joining me at all, or if you have a podcast and you're watching this and you think you have a voice and you can be consistent, talk to me. I'd love to hear what you're up to. But in all of that, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to grab a drink and I'm going to watch Love Actually because it's that time of year to watch good movies like that. So I'm going to head downstairs. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you all. It means the world to me that you stop by and you say hello and that you listen and that you spread the word because this is why I do this for you guys. I know the past couple of weeks it's been just me and I'm rambling, sometimes nonsensically. But again, it's just about putting in the reps. It's about going to the gym when you don't want to go. That's why I'm here. A lot of big things coming after the new year. So I'm kind of filling space between now and then, but it still feels good. I'm still getting the reps in, and hopefully you're enjoying it. If you're not, don't come back. If you are, come back. It's that easy. All right, kids, I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, I'm Matt. Later.